Today's video marks the end of my employment. I so love to share all of my life adventures with you, and with these life adventures, of course, comes positives and comes challenges. Today, the end of my employment. My job is done, giving you the breakdown of exactly what's gone on with my job and what my next steps are. Let's do it. I'm no longer employed! Yes! Hey everyone, Dave K here today to share with you some of life's challenges. You know, we work through all of the environments and situations in life, and I'd love to share my life adventures with you. And we run into challenges from time to time as well, right? There's positives and there's challenges. There's things we run into that we have to overcome, that we have to work through, that we have to problem solve. And today, I want to share with you some problem solving with my job being done. And I'm going to cover why is it done, what happened, what now, am I staying in Florida, and so much more. Let's do it after this. I'm excited to recommend Vacation with the Magic for planning your next vacation. Over the years, Gordon has given me invaluable advice and recommendations for multiple Disney destinations. It costs you nothing more than it would to book a Disney trip yourself. Plus, by using his services, you can help support my channel. So click the link in the description below to get your free quote today. I want to preface too, before I go too far into this, you may see me smile a lot, and I always like to remain positive and to smile, and I'm going to touch a little bit more on this later in this video, but I can just smile about being able to be alive, right, and being able to have everything that I do, be healthy and to be happy, and to be able to be in a position where I can figure out job situations and not be in too much of a kind of a scary, problematic world. You know, I have enough saved up where I'm okay for a while, and so I've set up kind of the system, and I have my health where I don't have to worry about these things too much, and so I can just smile about being alive and being able to take these challenges head on and solve them here with you, and of course to be able to share this content with you, and I so appreciate you being a part of it with me. But you'll see me smile even in challenging situations. It's just kind of how I deal with challenges, as well as I like to remain positive at all times, always taking a positive spin or putting a positive light on any challenge that I come across, and I hope I can share that with you as well. So, Dave, kick us off here. Why is it done? Why is your job done? And what happened exactly? Give us the breakdown of exactly what's going on here. Well, thanks for asking, and I've got to say, the big reason that my job is done, one of the biggest challenges being presented to us right now, is I was needing to move back to San Francisco and the San Francisco Bay Area sooner rather than later. The reality is I was fortunate to know, and I was fortunate to be able to work on a project that allowed me to work remotely, but not all of the contracts that I received allowed me to work remotely, and as the work I was doing was coming to a close, I was needed to move back to San Francisco in order to find a new project to work on in that area, and I just couldn't see myself moving back to San Francisco in the Bay Area right now. And of course, there's a couple of different reasons why I didn't really feel comfortable traveling right now. One of them is kind of the current illness and trying to make sure that we're all staying well. It's not just kind of getting on a plane and flying to the San Francisco Bay Area, which can be maybe safe depending upon how you manage it, but also being in that area, trying to coordinate going to work and trying to coordinate kind of what I'm doing in terms of communicating with people, how I'm getting maybe the resources I need, laptops and other information, maybe communicating with people so that I can get the work that I need to get done, just all the face-to-face interaction that I'd have to do with people, going to grocery stores and figuring out which grocery stores am I going to in the area. I know for a while San Francisco and the Bay Area actually prevented people from leaving their houses at all unless there were essential needs that required people to go out, and so I know that it's kind of a scary time to be based in that area and just in general to be going out quite as much. So of course there's the current health climate, which made me concerned about not only traveling there but being based in the Bay Area. But another thing that kind of concerned me, made me not really want to move back to the Bay Area, is just true pure cost of living and how expensive it is to live in the Bay Area and be able to save up for those long-term goals, to be able to find groceries and be able to find housing and coordinate everything one needs to coordinate in order to be able to comfortably live in that area. And that also includes state income tax. And of course, another huge piece on this equation is just general enjoyment of living in an area. I can't say that I disliked San Francisco, but I've much preferred living in places such as Florida. I like a lot of things about Florida, including the proximity to not only entertainment and fun, but also being a lot closer to be able to see family. So there's a lot of factors about Florida and about living places besides the San Francisco Bay Area that are very appealing to me. Not that I dislike the San Francisco Bay Area. I'd probably rather be living there than a lot of other places I could possibly be living. But in the grand scheme, I definitely much prefer being able to be based in Florida. So that's kind of what led to the end of my work situation is I was needing to move back to that area, and I didn't really want to do that or felt comfortable doing that. And so I found myself in a position where I needed to figure something else out. Which ties perfectly into what now, Dave? What are you doing now, work-wise? What are your plans moving forward? What do you hope to do? Tell us all the details. The good news is I've been fortunate enough to be able to find and coordinate a temporary job for myself, a contract role that will cover me through the end of the year. So through the end of 2020, I should be comfortable in terms of this temporary position. Now, you never really know with a job in that they're all kind of at-will employment where you could be let go at any point or you could end your employment. Maybe some financial situation happens with organizations or otherwise. But fortunately enough, kind of similar to my full-time roles as they've been in that they're at-will agreements. I found a at-will agreement, a temporary agreement with an organization to be able to do work for them, kind of myself, kind of individually contracting for them through the end of 2020. The work I'm doing for this organization is very similar to the work I've done in the past. Of course, as most jobs are, you use the skills and the experiences that you have to continue to work in similar roles for other organizations. So similarly, I continue to work on project management style work where I help with technology implementations and implementing different systems to help organizations achieve their business goals. And if you'd like more information on what I do for work and kind of get a better understanding of exactly what that looks like, I did make a full video, My Job Explained, which gives you a really good idea in terms of how my work works, right? The skills and the knowledge and the expertise that I've developed over time and that I continue to work on projects moving forward. Feel free to check that one out if you'd like more information on that. Now, one of the challenges with this temporary position is it doesn't quite have the same advantages and benefits as a regular job might. So I'm having to coordinate my own healthcare, dental care, retirement plan, pretty much any benefit you might find yourself having with a regular organization. I have to coordinate those, figure those out myself, which presents a challenge, again, in this temporary role, not knowing how long I'll be in a temporary role. Hopeful at some point I'll find something that works for me longer term, and we'll dive into those longer term plans here shortly, but that is kind of one of the big challenges on this temporary role. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be able to have that job and that income coming in where I can coordinate those things myself, but obviously it's not ideal as opposed to having those things coordinated for you. Generally, when you work for an employer and they have you as a full-time employee, these benefits are a lot less expensive to get through that organization than trying to go out and find healthcare on your own. So, see what happens there. So I am hopeful that something comes up sort of long-term or in the future by the end of this contract or even sooner for me to find a full-time role. But there's, again, a lot of challenges on that front. I'm really worried about the current climate and being able to find a longer-term opportunity right now, especially with so many companies restricting their hiring freezes, and some even reducing the number of employees they have, trying to find myself in that position, that challenging situation of seeking employment when a lot of organizations aren't looking to hire. It's kind of like a buyer-seller market in real estate where if you're trying to buy a property but everyone else is also trying to buy a property, it makes it a lot more expensive to find a good deal. Similarly, I feel like it's more of a hiring market than it is of a job seeker market, I guess you could call it. And I would have said about this time 1 year ago, it looked a lot more like a job seeker market. But situations play out the way they do. I find myself in this position and we will work through it together. Another disadvantage for me on this front is I don't have the advantage of getting the opportunity to contract for different companies through my other employer, right? I had the opportunity to get these contracts. These contracts were set up for me in that I didn't have to go out and seek the contracts, and there's kind of a little bit more grounding going into that, right? Saying, oh, hey, we're a large organization. We can send you someone as a contractor, and we kind of back it up as being this larger employer. But trying to go to organizations myself and say, hey, I can do this work for you, can be challenging, not necessarily having as much of that grounding behind me, that large organization saying, yes, we back up this person to be a contractor for you, and therefore makes it harder for me to gain that experience and build that trust with organizations to then seek that longer-term role. The big question you may be asking, Dave, are you staying in Florida with this contract? Like, what's going on? Are you staying in Florida? And the answer for now is yes. I'm fortunate to be able to be working this contract remotely as well. Not a lot of companies are expecting people to travel right now, and I don't similarly want to be doing a lot of traveling right now, at least right at this time. Hopefully, I'll be able to do some travel in the future, but right now, I don't really want to be traveling and going out there and, getting on too many planes or in too many public transportation vehicles, interacting with too many people, shaking hands, or anything along those lines. So, I'm fortunate that I don't have to worry about that, as also organizations aren't really looking for that. So kind of a silver lining here is some of the work that I'm looking for, this benefit that I want of being able to work remotely, is kind of more common, especially right now. Now, in the longer term, I might have to move for new work. This is totally subject to happen. I feel I've always kind of been in this position where, a lot of the work that I've had has been very transitive. I've found myself moving many times in the past several years, and I may find an opportunity for myself in a situation, in a location that may make a lot of sense for me. Yes, I could of course say, no, I'm only going to live in this area, but I feel like if I allow myself that freedom and the flexibility to say, okay, I'll take the right role no matter where the location is, I provide myself a lot more opportunity to find something with maybe better fit for me in terms of what I'm looking for, my skills, or otherwise. Now, I would not necessarily ideally love to move to some locations, but I'd be open to it. So what is ideal for me, Dave? Where would you love to live? What would you like to be able to do in terms of your work situation? I'll tell you, for one, I would love to be able to travel. If I could find something remote or something that had me to travel to just fun places, so probably just the remote thing. I can't envision something that's like, oh yeah, let me pick. I'm going to travel to Hawaii, and let me travel to LA, and let me travel to a bunch of fun places, but, in a good way. Chances are slim. So more likely the remote situation. If I can find something permanently remote, that would be fantastic for me. But it's still something I'm seeking, and I'm sure someday I'll come across the right opportunity. And who knows, someday, maybe my sharing adventures with you, will be a full-time thing. It's probably a very long ways off, but I love the idea of it. I've always been inspired by some of these films, some of these movies inspired me to achieve my goals, work hard, and I can achieve anything that I set my mind to. Iron Man was a classic for me that really inspired me to think, yes, you can achieve your goals if you set your mind to it, you work hard. And that's kind of what I want to be able to do and share with people, is inspire you, tell better stories. And I know I have a very long way to go in terms of how I improve my storytelling, what stories I'm sharing with you. I've had so many thoughts, whether it's animated stories. I made one with the little stick puppets at one point, like popsicle stick characters, telling you a little story that way. There's so much more to try in the future, and I'm going to work on so many different videos as I grow, and of course I can't allot all of my time to it, which does present the challenge of not being able to really maximize my creativity, but I try to create all new, try new things as I can. I love to be able to share that with you as well. And so another thing I was going to say on that front, as I kind of work towards the full-time remote thing, or maybe even working towards this being a longer-term thing, if you are considering travel, and you're planning maybe a vacation, not necessarily in the short term, it could be next year or 2 years from now. If you're planning a vacation, you're considering maybe using some travel agencies or some travel resources, do make sure you check out that kind of intro video and the link in the description below for a travel agency that I'd recommend and help support my channel in that way. Thanks. Yeah, that'd be super cool if you check that one out. That'd be super cool. So Dave, bad news, you can't find a remote job. Where do you see yourself potentially living? Where are your favorite places to kind of live longer term? And I've touched on this in a few different videos. I talked about my review, Texas review, Maryland review, Florida review, give you a breakdown of what I've thought of some different locations. But if I had to kind of rank my favorite cities, favorite states, and figure out where I'd want to live longer term, if I had to stay in one place, I'm hoping to travel in the shorter term, but at some point, I'll settle down in one place. Some of my favorite places would probably be, I loved Austin, Texas, really nice area. Tampa, Florida was really nice when I spent some time out there as well. Of course, I also like the Orlando area and being able to spend some time around the theme parks. I have thought about and haven't spent too much time in all the different places in Texas, but I'd love to be able to check out at some point Dallas. I've heard great things about Dallas, and I feel like, again, I'd love to be able to check out more places in that state. Now, I am inclined to places with no state income tax and with lower cost of living, and so that's why some of those locations come to mind. But if you're talking about more expensive cities, if I need to come to a more expensive city, or I'm not worried about costs, I really do love Los Angeles in California. Since I'm so inclined by films and by movies, maybe at some point I'll see myself in LA in the longer term so I can get more involved in that industry, and also because I kind of love the environment there. It's a nice kind of slow, casual pace, a lot of people with that similar, again, entertainment industry passion, so much to like about LA as well. And as I think about working remotely in these different locations, I can work in different time zones as needed, right? So if I find myself working on an opportunity that's based out in maybe Pacific time, but I'm trying to work on Texas time, maybe, then I could find myself working different hours. Just say, okay, instead of working 9 to 5, I'll work, what is that, an 11 to 7 or something, depending upon, I think Texas is maybe in Central Time as well as Mountain Time. I'll look into it. But one of those time zones probably at flex, and I can work around that. So that's not really a huge challenge for me as well. Kind of something that comes to mind as I think about these remote roles. Kind of the benefit of remote work. And hopefully we're moving towards a climate that supports remote work a little bit more. I think we are kind of heading that way, especially given the current climate. And I thought about making a video all about remote work, kind of what that might look like for the future, some challenges to it, some of the benefits of it, kind of how I think we can manage it well. Maybe I'll make a video like that. We'll see. But it's definitely something that interests me. And again, as a final added bonus here, just reminding you of the positivity of life, being able to smile even at challenges. As you come across challenges, maybe like me, where you find yourself between work opportunities, or trying to coordinate your next role, or maybe between relationships, it's just important to remember that we're very fortunate to be able to wake up in the morning, to be able to live our lives, to have everything that we do. I feel so fortunate to be able to have everything that I do, to be able to have had the work experience that I've had, to be able to have my health, to be able to go about and live my day, to be able to share videos with you and you all being a part of it with me. And again, thank you so much for that. And be able to take challenges head on. That can kind of even be the fun of it, right? Is addressing these challenges head on, figuring out creative solutions to these problems. So always putting a positive spin on whatever challenges we may come across. But I wanted to give you this really in-depth breakdown of my job being done, next steps for me, what the future looks like, and I'm hopeful for what the future will look like and sharing more adventures with you. Did I answer all of your questions in this video? Let me know in the comments below. Are there any other open questions around what's going on? Anything else you feel might be appropriate to address in the current climate? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget, if you do have interest in learning more, again, about the sort of work that I do, you've got the My Work Explained video, and you can always go back and check out some of those state review videos that I've done as well. I enjoyed those and sharing my honest thoughts on places like Texas and Florida with you. Thank you again so much for being a part of the fun with me as always. If you haven't hit the subscribe button and rang the bell to stay informed of future adventures, and I mean you enjoyed this video and you're still here, what are you waiting for? This is your sign. Thanks so much for being a part of it with me, and until next time, play on. So you may want to know, for starters, and they'd ask me in their, where I can coordinate those things myself,